the Sports Renegades podcast on SportstownChicago.com.
Oh, welcome back into the Sports Renegades on SportstownChicago.com in this frigid weather. You want to move the equipment outside and broadcast outside?
Yeah, let's do it.
I wonder if the equipment would freeze if we did that. Probably.
This equipment would freeze. This equipment freezes in here.
Yeah, I mean, it probably would. I mean, like, the wires would probably get frozen.
Yeah.
There'd be no electrical current.
Yeah, I think so. It would not be a smart decision.
No, it would be a creative decision that failed miserably.
So let's talk about spring training here, as the Cubs already reported, and news broke today that the Cubs will be wearing the Ernie Banks number 14 patch somewhere on their jersey. It'll probably be either on the left or right shoulder, I guess.
You know, that would be something if they had an Ernie patch and then below it they had the Santo patch from the year before. Or have him on the other one, except
They could, yeah.
obviously you want to do this season just for Ernie.
Right, and then, of course, last season, the 2014 season, they had a Wrigley Field 100 anniversary patch. So
I think the year
they're
before
having
that,
patches all the time.
Yeah, I think the year before that then was Santo.
Yeah, because I think he died in 2012, so 2013 would have been the year that they had a 10 patch. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of sad in a sense that they keep having these patches, but it's also a good thing to honor the players and
I
stuff.
mean, it's really too bad that these all-time greats are not seeing them win the World Series.
I know. It's like Santo, Ernie Banks, hopefully Ferguson Jenkins, Ryan Sandberg,
Billy
and
Williams.
Billy Williams can see them win, and
Although
all the other
Sandberg's
players that have played for the Cubs.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, Ryan Sandberg's now the manager of or has been the manager of the Phillies.
yeah, he's in a
Mess.
tough situation there, and
With a GM that's a
Phillies.
moron.
Yeah,
Ruben Amaro Jr. Every single Phillies.
they still have Cole Hamels and Cliff Lee. Might want to trade them for prospects, but whatever.
Yeah, Cole Hamels said he wants to be traded, and Ruben Amaro Jr. won't do it. Like, what do you have to gain by having Hamels if you trade him for prospects?
Everyone is saying he'd be that Hamels would be a perfect fit. In a couple places. He's I think I don't remember where.
The Cubs and the Red Sox would be nice. Even San Diego.
I was watching MLB Network, and they were saying the Red Sox are a perfect fit, and they don't know why the Red Sox aren't actively pursuing Cole Hamels, because I guess they're not.
It's because of the outrageous asking price.
Yeah, I mean, it is a big asking price, but, if the Red Sox get Cole Hamels, I mean, that team will compete with Toronto to win that division, because now you have, an ace in Hamels, and then you still got, a pretty good staff behind it.
And Porcello,
Wade Miley,
Justin Masterson, and Clay Buchholz.
And Clay Buchholz, yeah.
Although a lot of that staff could also hinge. Plus Joe Kelly, that's the problem. They have too many stars.
Right.
And Joe Kelly already said that he's going to win the AL Cy Young Award. And I just find it funny that he says he's going to win the Cy Young Award the year after he gets removed from the National League, where it just goes to Clayton Kershaw every year.
Yeah, it just goes to Kershaw every year. Yeah, Joe Kelly. I think there's way better players in the American League that can win that. I mean, Chris Sale. I mean, there's
King Felix, David Price.
Felix Hernandez, David Price. There's a ton of options that could win that won't be Joe Kelly.
Oh, that would be something if he actually pitches that good. I mean, the Red Sox say he's got the stuff to do it. It might just be he's too young now. I mean, that would be something if he wins that after the Cardinals trade him. And the interesting thing is, I'm sure the Red Sox, like, they don't want to part with like a ton of prospects. I'm sure in the Cole Hamels here they've offered like Alan Craig and Shane Victorino, like, because I mean Craig's on a 5-year deal and they don't have room for him.
That's true.
And I'm sure the Phillies want all younger players.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't know what Mike Napoli's deal is, but I mean, you might as well play Alan Craig there instead of Mike Napoli, right?
Napoli's deal is up after the season. Because, I mean, the outfield, you got Rusney Castillo in center field, who you just gave a 7-year contract to. You've got Hanley Ramirez in left field. That just makes you cringe saying that name.
Yeah, of course, it's his first time trying to play there, so I don't know how good he's going to do
with
or
the
how
Green
bad
Monster.
He's gonna do.
Well, it's not like he was a good defensive shortstop anyways.
No, he made tons of errors.
I mean, offensively, he might like the Green Monster. And then in right field, it looks like they got Shane Victorino, And then they still got guys like Alan Craig, Daniel Nava, and Jackie Bradley Jr.
Right. I mean, they have a lot of,
outfielders.
They have an influx of outfielders, sort of like the Cubs, but these players aren't as good as the Cubs. And it's not as, cemented in stone as the Cubs outfield will be.
Yeah, the Cubs outfield isn't really, great yet.
It's not great yet, but, you have the pieces, obviously. So there's been a lot of talk about, can Chris Bryant make the team? So I don't know.
Absolutely not.
I'm not sure what your opinion is. I mean, I guess it's possible, but I would predict, as well as you, that he probably won't make the team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why he should make the team. Is the month of April, where teams usually start out slow, the ball does not carry, the wind's always blowing in at Wrigley Field. Is this month of April worth losing a year of him becoming a free agent a whole season earlier? And right. Scott Boras is his agent, so you really don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I'd tell him, you drop Scott Boras as your agent, then we'll probably slot you in on opening night. Although, I mean, you can't really do that.
No, but I mean, I have no problem with him starting April in Iowa, and I don't think really, real, fans and stuff and real people, I don't think they want him to necessarily start the season off, especially like you said, in the cold, windy month of April at Wrigley Field.
Right, and I mean, a lot of guys really have a rough. Usually first-year players at Wrigley Field in April, first-year hitters at Wrigley in April usually have it pretty rough. I mean,
and Baez will still be struggling probably, so I mean, I don't really want two struggling players up there at the same time.
Right, you don't want it like that. I mean, remember, Moises Alou batted 130 his first April with the Cubs, and he was a free agent signing. Carlos Pena batted 120 in April.
Brutal.
Yeah, I remember it seemed like he was striking out every time.
Yeah, pretty much.
And, I mean, there's really just no reason, the pros of him not making the team the pros of him not making the team is just this long, never-ending list, and really the cons of.
And I mean, if he continues to be one of the top prospects, he's going to be with the Cubs anyway, and he's going to be, either our third baseman or he's going to fit out in the outfield somewhere. So I mean, you still are going to have a really good chance. I have no problem with them starting Tommy La Stella at third to open up
Mike
the season.
Older, use a platoon.
Or Mike
with them.
Older, yeah. You might as well. I mean, and that's still a pretty darn good team, even without Chris Bryant at third base.
Right, and then you bring him up in May. It's getting a little warmer. He's gotten a little seasoning in the minor leagues.
Mm-hmm. He gets his at-bats down in the minor leagues, and, you go and bring him up, and then the dog days of summer start, and hopefully they'll be good.
Right, I mean, and really the only reason when the Sox signed Melky, people are saying, the only thing the Cubs could do now is either sign Shields or put Chris Bryant in the opening night lineup. Well, they're not competing against the White Sox.
No, they're not competing against the White Sox. They're competing against the Cardinals and the Pirates.
Yeah, I mean, when I read that, I was just like, why do you think they're competing against the White Sox? Why are they countering moves made by the White Sox? They're trying to win their division, not beat the White Sox.
And here's the thing about the Sox, too. I mean, if Detroit has, if Miguel Cabrera continues to decline.
Which he will, given his age.
Right, and Justin Verlander continues to decline, which he probably will. I can't see him having, a giant bounce-back year.
No, he's too old for that.
I mean, he'll probably be a better I'm sure his ERA won't be in the fives again, but
I think he finished .454 last year.
Yeah, I could see it being in the high threes at best.
Yeah, he actually pitched 200 innings last year.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty durable. He just, he gives up almost 5 runs a game, which is which is not what you want. If those people, and besides that, the Tigers don't really have, the best offense. I think the Sox have a better offense than them. Right. I think it's very possible that the Sox can win the AL Central this year. We'll have to see if Kansas City has more magic in them, but I mean, I think they'll be able to fend off the Indians and Tigers.
Are major sleepers that really could come away with the division if Michael Bourne and Nick Swisher bounce back, and Michael Brantley continues to perform the way he had been in Corey
he's been really good, and
really it hinges
Kipnis has a bounce back year and all that. Yeah.
Really, it counts on Kipnis bouncing back, and then Kluber and Brantley building on their breakout seasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you there. I think, by the end of it, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if it came down to the Indians or White Sox with the Tigers, in third or something. I could see that happening.
I mean, throwing the fact that Miguel Cabrera and Victor Martinez have injuries, they are hoping to be ready by opening day. Right. They might not be, and if that's the case, when they come back, they'll be a little rusty because they'll probably miss most of spring training.
Right. So, I could certainly, the Sox just have to stay healthy, which they didn't do too well last year, at staying healthy. So if they can stay healthy, if Melky Cabrera can do good without the PEDs, then,
and Adam Eaton not running into walls.
Yeah, you got to stop that. Although, of course, they still don't really have second base and third base locked down too well. So
yeah, they didn't even attempt to address third base, second base. They're just
Gordon Beckham. Connor Gillespie's fine.
We signed Gordon Beckham back. Well, you traded him for cash considerations.
They need to bring up Carlos Sanchez and play him at second. Don't play. I would not start Gordon Beckham if I was the White Sox.
Oh, people were.
But I feel like they're going to because he's a fan favorite, and the Sox love their fan favorites.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like with Beckham, it's either you hate him or you love him.
Yeah.
And the fans that hate him were furious that he was brought back.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good person. He's a good guy. He's pretty good defensively, but if you're batting 240, that doesn't cut it.
I think you're being generous. I don't think he was ever batting 240, other than his rookie year, which was really good. He batted 275.
Yeah, that was, 2009 or something?
Batted 275.
Yeah, that's true. I guess he never really has batted 240. I mean, he gets hot in spurts. He'll have a week where he'll hit 3 home runs. And
bat really high, and then the next week he'll have 1 hit.
Yeah, and so that's just sort of what happens. And we don't really know what's going to happen with Alexi Ramirez either. He had another very solid year last year,
which
so hopefully he can continue to be just as good. Hopefully.
He'll be 33 or 34 this upcoming season.
His average won't be 280 something like it was last year.
Right, I don't think he'll hit 17 home runs again.
No, that's hard for any shortstop to do.
Unless you're Tulowitzki.
Yeah, unless you're
Troy
Tulowitzki.
Yeah, when you're healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, really, they didn't even make a single move to address third base. Yeah, Connor Gillespie's the guy. Well, he batted .215 against left-handed pitching last year. I think you need a right-handed platoon partner, and it can't be Gordon Beckham because he's going to be platooning with Carlos Sanchez if he's not the starter.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not sure what they have planned at third base, but
and plus,
I guess if you have one weak position like that, it's not the end of the world because their staff improved tremendously.
The problem is it's third base. So if that's shortstop or second base, if they're all right defensively, you can live with that. You need a good, solid run-producing third baseman, and Connor Gillespie's not that guy. And Matt Davidson proved that he couldn't.
Yeah, Matt Davidson can't.
Couldn't even hit AAA pitching.
Yeah, he probably won't be that guy either. So we'll have to see what happens with them. But
now move to a.
That was funny. But yeah, I mean the Cubs and Sox, obviously, as we talked about, they have high hopes for making it to the postseason, which. It's probably more possible for the White Sox just because, it's the Tigers are sort of in a decline and the Cardinals are not. So
right, and
that's sort of the thing.
We'll continue this baseball talk and then talk about how much money Johnny Cueto wants in his next big contract.
I did hear about that. The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.